Attention gamers, previously on my One Life character. I joined a group with the Robin to Asmongold's Batman who tried to get me killed in SFK with the goal of getting a weapon to replace my level 3 white dagger, which didn't drop. I lost my death roll virginity to Emmy before overthrowing the leader of the buggy blizzard-coated Poison Quest Tower. I went after full solo self-found glory in the deadliest quest in Barrens with an evil plan to risk someone else's life but almost lost my own due to having a full inventory and on the grasp of giving up. I was bailed out by my father, the hardcore avatar. Now where were we? Oh yeah, Dad distracts General Ginger Pubes and his butt buddy so that I can go in.
I can't carry anymore.
Turns out my inventory is still fuller than a house with Bob Saget in the 90s, so I'm forced to panic delete the jizzing pistol in my bag so that I could loot the tier for my homeless deranged great uncle. And that's the story of how a guardian angel enabled me to do a deadly quest that I had no business doing, but in return for risking 30 hours of progress I earned the trolls, a whopping 3 points. Turns out that wasn't even the deadliest thing I did that day, as I had to ride the elevators in 1K needles not once, but twice. And I also ran into an RPing cow named Only Walk who by the looks of it deserves to have some respect put on his name for having zero regard for his own time. I then grouped up with some guildies for what was the smoothest dungeon run I've had to date.
Dog shit! Dog shit! Dog shit! I have nothing! Dog shit! Dog shit!
And seeing how our end Jesus Christ himself was blessing me so much, I figured I would put all this gear to the test after reading a little poster in the Mill of Tarn that a bounty was out for a few key targets. The first was some apple picker who slept with Bill Clinton or some shit and she was an easy kill. Then I guess they threw a random citizen into the target list to throw people off, and the hardest part about killing him was the simp who immediately tried to avenge his death. The third was in the town hall standing nuts to butts with 8 of his closest homeboys, and the first attempt at that totally wasn't a fail. Eventually I learned about the power of not just busting into the room like the Kool-Aid Man, and this was successful in getting the cucks in the corner taken care of.
Oh yeah!
Then it was just a matter of one last pull and a bit of puckering. It's worth noting that some good Samaritan druid did cuff my balls with a healing touch at the end, but it turns out the fourth face on that paper would be in a cave that many others have feared.
If I go in there at 28, I'm just dead.
A cave that others even in the safety of a group are relieved to escape.
Oh my god, we made it out. Oh my god, we're safe. Holy shit, get me out of this.
A cave that glory-less pussies wait until they can get a full group for because of how deadly it is. But I, son of the hardcore avatar, was about to take it on alone. Now my tip when you are in a coal mine is to apply tetanus to your weapon, because you see normally when these sexy shirtless hunks are about to meet their maker they run to their nearest coworker shouting sexual harassment, then you have to deal with HR and the training videos again and you get put on a list yada yada yada, but when they have been infected with tetanus they just hobble away slower than someone who just did a K-nutty leg day as you watch them suffer knowing they aren't getting very far while laughing. And then I ended up getting more impatient than a type 1 diabetic at a hibachi restaurant, so I used my invisibility cloak to skip the part where a smart player would clear an escape path, because with one arm that would take a long time, so I choose to risk 30 hours to save 30 minutes. I think I found a nook where I can have a private conversation with him alone, but you know what they say, no shoes, no shirt, no solo poles, and unfortunately this was about to get interesting. And like that I soloed what people sit in LFG all day to fight together, and even though an entire HR department was coming at me, you just have to understand that moments like these are just a test of faith.
Ancestors watch over you. You took the leap of faith, even though you had no guarantees that you would survive.
It was at this point where I turned 30, which meant it's probably time to open a 401k, but also that there would be a surprise party being held for me. Turns out it wasn't a party, it was a secret underground gambling ring, which was quite literally underground. Being led by some greedy finance bro, and as a self-found character I couldn't pay the buy-in, but luckily Sardako covered my entry fee.
Alright, we have two crowd favorites here. Unfortunately, they have to go up against each other in the first round. We have Ram versus Wake Wilder.
Guys, we missed.
All right. All right, let's do this shit.
Let's go, Wake.
Let's go, Earth brother. Move.
Oh, he's hitting you with the Taz Dingo. Wait a second.
Oh, shit.
That said, I was only here to accomplish two things. First, to roll a 69.
Here we go. Oh, a 69 from Ram. That's going to be really setting the tone here.
And second, to lose Sardako his money, and then I was on to more important things. You see, up until now I had done every dungeon, but outside of one quest reward my gear was looking greener than an avocado's asshole, not to mention my only weapon as an ambush spec rogue was white, which means someone else's vendor trash would have been my treasure, but for logistical reasons I was stuck with mine. But that all was going to change when the ghost of Howard's past came to bear gifts. Side note, the two mages in my group you just got out DPS'd by a one-armed rogue with a white level 16 weapon, but the days of the white weapon were now behind us. So I hope a few of you invested in the Rav Jr. stonks because they were about to be looking up. That said, my dopamine levels were about to be flatlined by possibly the worst quest I've ever done. You see, there's speculation around if Bigfoot exists, and while I can now confirm he does, there's a rod that he apparently holds and that very likely doesn't exist as shown by this montage. Wait, you didn't actually think I was going to spend hours editing every kill to show how stupid this game design is, did you? Well, you should know by now that I did. Now for context, back in that cave full of exposed nipple HR violation victims, there's actually a deadlier mob.
Bond. James Bond.
And even the best of WoW players are afraid to take him on solo, as he puts you in a 5-second stun and summons guards, and if you aren't careful you can just die inside that stun.
Just kill Foreman Bonds? I don't know if I can do it. Chat, I don't know if I can.
Now I may have done it with ease, which just goes to show that having one arm is still better than having no balls.
I don't know if I can.
Turns out Saryu wanted to redeem himself for the Foreman Bonds incident by grabbing some random healer and attempting one of the deadliest dungeons with just 3 people in what will one day be remembered as the 5-armed Gnomerigan. The one arm that I provided was carrying its own weight, but the 2 that Saryu brought to the party seemed to enjoy tanking bosses in a spot where I would have to huff poisonous copium just to hit it from the back the way I like to. To make matters worse, I was more confused than a mosquito at a mannequin factory when it came to the mechanics in this gnomish Tesla factory. Not to mention our random healer who you seem to trust with his life kept talking about how he isn't meant to be an undead and needing to go back to Elwyn Forest. As we got further in the dungeon, things were getting more sketch than a retired OnlyFans boy turned famous streamer.
Yo, Rav. That's you. Kill the machine.
But you forget there is ice flowing through these Senjin veins, and after a while we found our synergy, like two frat brothers in a gangbang. Him doing his family-friendly stuff over there, and me just laying down pipe over here. And with that, we made it to the final boss. A room that would lock us in upon pulling, with walking bombs which apparently require a ranged DPS in the group, which was bad because
If enough bombs get to us, we're gonna die.
but I wasn't going to let my friend Zarya go down as a coward for never doing Foreman Bond solo, so there was no turning back.
We're doing 0 damage. I don't want this priest to die. This is stupid. Bombs, double, triple bombs.